No one could handle the billionaire's twin daughters. That wasn't gossip, it was fact. The last nanny left sobbing through the front gates. The one before her lasted 4 hours. A child psychologist locked herself in the bathroom and called her lawyer. Inside the towering Sterling estate, the staff had stopped asking who was next. They only asked how long. And on a quiet Tuesday morning, pushing a janitor's cart across polished marble floors, Ethan Brooks had no idea he was about to do what no one else could. Just clean the East Wing and stay invisible, the house supervisor whispered sharply as he passed. And whatever you hear, ignore it. Ethan nodded. He was good at ignoring things. People had been ignoring him most of his life. At 38, he worked 2 jobs, janitor by day, warehouse loader by night. He was also a single dad, raising his 9-year-old son alone since his wife died. He knew exhaustion. He knew chaos. He knew what it felt like when love turned into grief, and kids didn't know how to name their pain. But he didn't know this house. The Sterling mansion was too quiet. The kind of quiet that buzzed in your ears. Every surface gleamed, but the air felt brittle, like one wrong sound could shatter it. Then came the crash. Glass. A sharp scream, followed by laughter, wild and unrestrained. The twins, someone muttered from the kitchen doorway. God help us. Ethan froze. At the top of the grand staircase stood Ava Sterling, Billionaire CEO, tech titan, and one of the most feared women in the business world. Her suit was flawless. Her eyes were not. Dark circles betrayed weeks of sleepless nights. Another one quit, she asked quietly, already knowing the answer. The supervisor swallowed. Yes, ma'am. She said the girls are emotionally unmanageable. Ava closed her eyes. Her daughters, Luna and Ivy, 6 years old, identical in face but opposite in spirit, hadn't always been like this. Before their father died, they'd been bright, curious, affectionate. After the funeral, something in them hardened. Rage replaced words. Chaos replaced comfort. Money bought tutors, therapists, experts. Nothing worked. Another crash echoed upstairs. Ava flinched. I don't care who it is anymore, she said, voice breaking just enough to scare everyone. Someone stopped them. That was when a small, sharp voice rang out. Why is that man sad? Every head turned. Luna stood halfway down the stairs, barefoot, eyes piercing. Ivy lingered behind her, arms crossed like a tiny bodyguard. They were staring directly at Ethan. I'm not sad, Ethan said instinctively. Luna frowned. You look like my daddy did, right before he disappeared. The words landed like a slap. The house went silent. Ava's breath hitched. No one ever spoke about their father in front of the girls. It was an unspoken rule. The supervisor rushed forward. Girls, go back upstairs. No, Ivy said flatly. Her gaze never left Ethan. He's not scared of us. She was right. Ethan wasn't. He didn't see monsters. He saw children wound too tightly, holding pain too big for their small chests. I've cleaned worse disasters than this house, Ethan said gently. Once raised a kid who thought crayons belonged on walls. Luna blinked. Ivy tilted her head. No adult had ever spoken to them like equals. You're poor, Ivy stated bluntly, eyes flicking to his uniform. Ethan smiled. Yep. You're not trying to fix us, Luna added suspiciously. Nope. Ava stared. For the first time in months, her daughters weren't screaming. They weren't throwing objects. They weren't running. They were listening. Get him out of here, the supervisor whispered urgently. He's not trained. Wait, Ava said. Her voice stopped everything. Ethan turned, surprised. What's your name? Luna asked.
Ethan.
What do you do? Ivy demanded. I clean things people think are ruined. The twins exchanged a look. Something shifted. You can come upstairs, Luna said. Not a request. A decision. The supervisor panicked. Miss Sterling, this is highly inappropriate. Let him, Ava said softly. Everyone stared at her. Just for today. Ethan hesitated. He thought of his son. Of patience learned through bedtime meltdowns and grief-filled nights. Of knowing when to speak, and when to simply sit. I don't make promises I can't keep, he said. That's fine, Ivy replied. We break them anyway. For the first time in 2 years, the twins took an adult's hand willingly. As they led Ethan upstairs, Ava felt something unfamiliar rise in her chest. Hope. And no one yet realized the impossible had already begun. The twins didn't test Ethan the way they tested everyone else. They studied him. Luna led the way down the upstairs hallway like a general inspecting enemy territory. Ivy followed half a step behind, watching Ethan's hands, his feet, the way his eyes moved. Adults always gave themselves away eventually. Fear, anger, desperation. Ethan felt it and chose something different. He didn't rush, didn't lecture, didn't ask them to use their inside voices. He simply walked with them. Inside the playroom, chaos reigned. Books lay ripped open. A dollhouse leaned sideways, missing its roof. Glitter dusted the carpet like fallout. A cracked picture frame lay face down near the window. Ethan crouched and picked up a broken toy wheel. Who built this? He asked. The twins froze. That's not what you say, Luna replied slowly. What do people usually say? Ethan asked. They yell, Ivy answered. Or sigh. Or say we're being bad. Ethan nodded. That sounds boring. The twins glanced at each other. Ethan placed the wheel gently on a table. Looks like whoever built this didn't mean to break it. Just pushed it too hard. Luna's jaw tightened. They left, she said suddenly. Ethan didn't pretend not to understand. Yeah, he said. Sometimes people do. Ivy kicked a block across the room. Everyone leaves. Ethan sat on the floor. Not on a chair. Not above them. On the carpet, right in the mess. That hasn't been true for me, he said. I stay. Even when it's loud. Silence fell heavy. Downstairs, Ava Sterling stood frozen behind the half-open door listening. She had planned to intervene at the first sign of trouble. But instead of screams, she heard nothing. Just soft voices. That scared her more than chaos. Upstairs, Luna moved closer to Ethan. If you stay, she said carefully, you have to do what we say. Ethan smiled faintly. I don't think so. Ivy stiffened. Everyone does what we say. Not me, Ethan replied calmly. The twins braced, waiting for the explosion. The anger. The punishment. It didn't come. Instead, Ethan reached into his pocket and pulled out a folded piece of paper. He smoothed it on the floor. It was a child's drawing, crayon lines forming a stick-figure dad holding hands with a small boy. My son drew this, Ethan said. When his mom died, he stopped talking for a while. This was how he told me he was still there. Luna stared. Ivy's breathing slowed. You didn't fix him, Ivy said. No, Ethan replied. I just didn't leave. A sharp sound echoed. The picture frame. Luna had picked it up. Inside was a photo of the twins with their father, all three laughing on a beach. Her hands trembled. He promised, Luna whispered. He said he'd come back. Ethan didn't correct her. Some truths were too sharp. Instead, he stood and grabbed a dustpan. All right, he said lightly. Rule 1 in my house, if something breaks, we clean it together. The twins blinked. Together? Ivy echoed. Together. They waited for him to bark orders. He didn't. Luna knelt. Ivy followed. Slowly, awkwardly, they began picking up glass. Downstairs, Ava covered her mouth. No one had ever made her daughters clean up their own messes without fear or bribes. And yet, there they were. 10 minutes passed. Then 20. No screaming. No tears. Just quiet cooperation. When the room was clean, Ethan stood. Rule 2, he said. If you want me to stay, we don't hurt people or things. What if we're angry? Luna asked. Then you say it, Ethan replied. Or we walk it out. Ivy crossed her arms. And if we don't? Then I leave, Ethan said simply. The twins stiffened. You said you don't leave, Luna whispered. Ethan met her eyes. I don't leave kids, but I do leave chaos. It was the first boundary anyone had ever set, and meant. The twins didn't scream. They nodded. Downstairs, Ava's phone buzzed with a board meeting reminder. She ignored it. For the first time in years, something mattered more. Upstairs, Ivy spoke softly. You can come back tomorrow. Ethan hesitated. I'm just the janitor. Luna shook her head. You're the first grown-up who didn't try to win. Ethan smiled sadly. Sometimes you don't need winning. Just staying. As he walked toward the door, Ivy called out, Ethan? He turned. If you disappear, she said, voice tight, we'll burn the house down. Ethan chuckled. Fair warning. But as he left the playroom, both twins watched him with something new in their eyes.
Trust.
And Ava Sterling, listening from the hall, finally let herself cry. The next morning, the twins were waiting. Not hiding. Not plotting. Waiting. Ethan noticed at the moment he stepped through the service entrance. Two small silhouettes seated on the marble floor at the top of the stairs, legs crossed, backs straight like they'd rehearsed this moment. You came, Luna said. Ethan set down his mop. I said I would. Ivy narrowed her eyes. People say that. Yeah, he agreed. I try not to. Downstairs, the staff exchanged uneasy glances. This wasn't how mornings usually went. Normally the twins were already mid-chaos by sunrise. Broken lamps. Screams echoing through the halls. Today, nothing. Ava Sterling watched from the balcony above, coffee untouched in her hand. Her heart pounded like she was about to walk into a hostile boardroom. Ethan climbed the stairs slowly. Rule check, he said when he reached them. No hurting people or things. Luna nodded. Ivy nodded too, a fraction slower. And, if we get mad? Ivy asked. Then we talk. Or we move. Ethan replied. Your choice. They stood. The playroom was still clean. That alone felt like a miracle. Ethan didn't comment on it. He never praised what he expected. Instead, he opened the window. Too quiet in here, he said. Let's go outside. The twins stiffened. No, Luna said instantly. Ethan paused. All right. That was it. No argument. No pressure. But 10 minutes later, when he headed toward the garden alone with a trash bag, Ivy followed. Just a watch, she muttered. Luna joined 2 steps behind. The garden was enormous. Perfect hedges, silent fountains, stone paths untouched by footprints. A place built for beauty, not children. Ethan handed them gloves. What's this? Luna asked suspiciously.
We're pulling weeds, he said.
Ivy scoffed. We don't do chores. Ethan shrugged. Then I do them alone. He knelt. Slowly, deliberately, he began pulling weeds from between the stones. Dirt under his nails. Sweat on his brow. The twins watched. 5 minutes passed. Then Luna knelt. Ivy followed. No one said a word. Downstairs, Ava pressed her hand to the glass door, stunned. Her daughters had refused every structured activity, every reward system, every threat. And now they were kneeling in the dirt beside a janitor, quietly working. You don't get paid for this, Ivy said finally. Ethan nodded. Nope. Why do it? Because if you don't pull weeds, he said, tugging one free, they take over everything. Luna frowned. Like bad thoughts. Ethan glanced at her. Exactly like that. The work continued until Ivy's gloves tore. She froze. Normally, this was where the meltdown came. The screaming. The throwing. Ethan handed her his gloves, without a word. But you'll get dirty, she said. That's kind of the point. Ivy stared at him, then took them. Something cracked open. Later, inside the kitchen, the twins sat at the counter while Ethan washed his hands. A glass slipped from Luna's fingers and shattered on the floor. The twins both flinched. Ethan looked down at the mess. Rule 1, he asked. Luna swallowed. Clean together. Ethan nodded. They swept. Carefully. No fear. No shame. From the doorway, Ava couldn't breathe. Why aren't you yelling? Luna asked suddenly. Ethan thought for a moment. Because yelling doesn't teach. It just scares. Ivy's voice dropped. Our dad yelled before the accident. The room stilled. Ava's heart slammed against her ribs. Ethan didn't rush. He loved you, Ethan said quietly. But love doesn't always know how to speak. Ivy's eyes filled. She wiped them angrily. If we're good, will you stay? Ethan crouched to their level. I stay when we're honest. That night, the twins didn't ask for a nanny. They asked for Ethan. Ava called him into her office after dinner. She didn't offer him a seat. Name your price, she said. Ethan shook his head. I'm not for sale. Ava blinked. I'll come, Ethan continued, as long as I'm allowed to leave if this turns into fear instead of growth. No one had ever spoken to her like that. You're just a janitor, she said softly. Ethan met her gaze. And you're just a mom? The words landed harder than any insult. Ava swallowed. Tomorrow, she said. Same time. Ethan nodded. Upstairs, Luna whispered to Ivy. He didn't fix us. Ivy squeezed her hand. He stayed. And for the first time since their father died, the house slept without screams. The first complaint came on Friday. Ava Sterling read the message twice, her jaw tightening. Subject: Unapproved household influence. From Executive Family Consultant Board. She already knew what it meant. Down the hall, Ethan sat cross-legged on the floor with Luna and Ivy, sorting screws and bolts into neat piles. The twins were unusually focused, brows furrowed in serious concentration. This one's bent, Ivy said. Then it doesn't belong, Ethan replied. Not everything broken needs fixing. Luna nodded solemnly and placed it aside. Ava watched from the doorway, torn between relief and fear. For 5 days, there had been no incidents. No screaming. No destruction. The twins slept through the night. They ate breakfast. They even laughed, softly, like they were afraid the sound might scare everything away. But Ava knew systems didn't like things they couldn't control.
Ethan, she said.
He looked up immediately. What's wrong? She handed him her tablet. He read the message once. Someone doesn't like me, he said calmly. They're concerned, Ava corrected. They say you're unqualified. Unlicensed. A liability. Ethan handed the tablet back. They're not wrong. Luna stood. He stays. Ivy's voice was sharp. If he goes, we go back to breaking things. Ava flinched. This isn't your decision, she said gently, though her heart screamed otherwise. The twins folded their arms, identical in defiance. That afternoon, a black car arrived. Dr. Malcolm Reeve, the highest-paid child behaviorist in the country, stepped into the mansion with a leather briefcase and a smile that didn't reach his eyes. He watched Ethan for exactly 10 seconds before speaking. And you are? The janitor, Ethan replied. Dr. Reeve chuckled. Of course you are. The twins immediately went still. Reeve knelt to their level. Girls, how would you like to earn points for good behavior? Ivy's lip curled. Luna stepped closer to Ethan. Reeve noticed and frowned. We use positive reinforcement here, he continued brightly. Follow instructions, earn rewards. Ethan said nothing. The test began. Reeve asked the twins to sit. Ivy didn't. He raised his voice. Luna knocked over a chair. Reeve's smile cracked. Girls, this is unacceptable. Ethan placed a hand between them. Not touching. Just present. We don't shout, Ethan said calmly. Reeve scoffed. They need structure. They need safety, Ethan replied. The twins looked up at him, breathing uneven. Reeve straightened. This man is undermining authority. No, Ava said quietly from the doorway. He's creating peace. Reeve turned sharply. Peace without control is chaos. Ethan finally stood. Control without trust is fear, he said. And fear breaks kids. The room went silent. Reeve snapped his briefcase shut. If he stays, I leave. Ava felt the weight of the decision crush her chest. For years, she'd chosen logic over instinct, experts over her heart. She looked at her daughters, clinging not in desperation, but in calm certainty. I think, Ava said slowly, we've tried fear. Reeve stared at her. You're making a mistake. Maybe, she replied, but it's mine. Reeve walked out. That night, the twins didn't celebrate. They asked a question. Why do people always want to take you away? Ivy whispered. Ethan sat on the edge of the bed. Because I don't fit their plans. Luna frowned. We like your plan. What plan is that? Ethan asked. She thought carefully.
Stay.
Tell the truth. Clean up messes. Ethan smiled. That's a good one. Downstairs, Ava stared at old photos. Nannies lined up like a rotating door. Contracts. NDAs. Solutions that never worked. She realized something terrifying. Ethan wasn't fixing her daughters. He was fixing the house. The next morning, the press arrived. A leak. A rumor. A billionaire replacing elite specialists with a janitor. Cameras flashed. Ava stood tall at the gates. He's temporary, she said. Ethan watched from inside, heart pounding. Luna squeezed his hand. Are they taking you? Ethan knelt. I don't know. Ivy's jaw clenched. Then we'll show them. What? That you didn't do the impossible, Ivy said. We did. Outside, the gates opened. And the world was about to see. What no one could handled themselves. The twins walked through the gates on their own. No screaming. No hiding. No fear. Luna held her head high. Ivy kept her shoulders squared. Between them, Ethan stood still. Not leading, not shielding, just present. The cameras froze. Reporters had come expecting chaos. A meltdown. Proof that a billionaire had finally lost control of her household. Instead, they saw two calm children holding a janitor's hands like he belonged there. Ava Sterling stepped forward. This man, she said clearly, was hired to clean floors. Murmurs rippled through the crowd. But he ended up teaching my daughters how to clean something else. The flash of cameras intensified. Luna raised her voice. We're not broken. Ivy followed. We were just loud because nobody listened. The silence that followed was heavier than any scream. Ethan felt his throat tighten. A reporter scoffed. Are you saying a janitor succeeded where professionals failed? Ava didn't hesitate. I'm saying love doesn't require a license. The story exploded within hours. Billionaire fires experts, trusts janitor with twin heiresses. The man who did what money couldn't. But inside the mansion, something more important happened. That night, Ethan packed his bag. The twins watched silently. You said you leave chaos, Luna whispered. There's no chaos now, Ethan replied softly. Ivy's eyes filled. So you're leaving? Ethan knelt. I was always temporary. They both broke. Not screaming. Crying. Ava stood in the doorway, tears streaming freely. Stay, she said. Not as help. As family. Ethan shook his head. I have a son. Then bring him, Ava replied. Let him have a home where staying is allowed. The twins froze. You'd let him live here? Ivy asked. Ava nodded. I've built empires. I forgot how to build a family. Ethan swallowed hard. The next morning, a small boy stood nervously at the mansion gates. Dad, he whispered. This place is big. Ethan knelt. Big doesn't mean scary. The twins approached slowly. This is ours, Luna said. We'll show you the rules. His son blinked. What rules? Ivy smiled. We clean together. The house changed. Not overnight. But honestly, there were still hard days.
Tears.
Arguments. Silence. But no fear. Months later, Ava canceled half her board meetings. She learned bedtime routines. Burnt pancakes. Homework frustration. The press moved on. But one headline stayed framed in the hallway. No one could handle them until they handled each other. And every night, as the lights dimmed, Ethan sat between three children on the floor, listening. Not fixing.
Staying. Yendi.
If you'd like next, I can provide.